Hello, everybody, and welcome to this latest in the ValuesJam guest session series. Paromita, great to have you here. And to start with, please introduce yourself and tell everybody about your great work.
Hi, I'm very glad to be invited here. And this is going to be really exciting because Alan has told me that there are no rules. There's nothing to follow here. Just speak out whatever we feel like, and there are spaces for silence also in this discussion. So I'm from India. I am Paromita Roy. I've done my PhD in psychology from Delhi University. And after that, I've been fortunate enough to work with gifted students of science through my work. I was the deputy director of an organization called Jagadish Bose, named after the famous scientist, Jagadish Bose National Science Talent Search. So my work was to um, design programs for gifted students. And most often than not, I landed up doing a lot of counseling for them, their parents, because till the time I got into this area, I had no idea the kind of problems that gifted students face. And I was also part of that stereotype that, oh, he or she is gifted, so he or she must be having a wonderful life. And then I realized that no, they do have a wonderful life, but they need a little hand holding sometimes. And I learned through my work. I actually learned through practical experience. I faltered and there were days where I just couldn't get through to the student, didn't understand what they wanted from us. But over the last 30 years, I figured out. Yeah, and I live in Calcutta.
Thank
And it's
you.
very
And
hot here.
it's hot here too in the UK.
Oh, okay, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
29 degrees, I heard.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. I have that report coming in from my sister every day.
And for people who would like to know more about you, where's the best place for people to find you?
I'm available on LinkedIn, just
Okay.
Paromita Roy,
Yeah.
or yeah, that's about it. I'm not a
Okay.
very public person.
Yeah. And that, your comment about gifted people having a great life as a stereotype, it's really strange that you should mention that because just yesterday I had a similar conversation, but not with regard to gifted people. It was more people with financial wealth. And
Mhm.
it used to be my paradigm, very similar to what you've said. I used to think that if you have money, then you must be okay. You must be kind of happy. But
Mm.
probably only in the last few years, I've started to realize that sometimes it must be a really uncomfortable life for some people because if they're born into wealth, there might be high expectations from their parents of them. And if that doesn't work out, how does that all pan out? And then I also heard a story from somebody who said that when she was in her early 20s, she was living in Manhattan, New York. Her parents gave her all the credit cards she needed, no limits on anything.
Oh, okay.
But what she then said was it was not kind to her. And so
Oh,
she found it very difficult. Um, so it's just interesting that you should raise a similar point after that conversation
mm.
yesterday.
Mhm.
Now, what we're going to do for our values jam is this is the
Yeah, no.
original prototype deck, and I'm going to tip out the cards and give them a bit of a shuffle. And then what I'd like you to do, please, is let me know how many piles of cards you would like me to make in front of me.
Two.
Just the two. Okay. And they're going to be different sizes.
Yes.
So I have one pile on my left and one pile on my right. So which pile shall I take?
The one on the left, please.
Okay. And now I'm going to count how many cards. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 34 cards. So a number between 1 and 34.
22.
Number 2.
22.
Oh, 22. Sorry.
I'm going
3.
to make you do some work.
Yeah. 12, 15, 18, 21. Okay, so this is the card that you've chosen.
Okay,
How do you feel about that?
great.
Why?
Fabulous.
Why is that?
Uh, it's something I believe in completely
Okay.
in every realm of what I do. And unfortunately, it is what I expect of everybody, but it doesn't work that way. And even for me, I wouldn't say commitment worked very well sometimes because the expectation that came with it was huge. But I would still think it's a very important thing in my life.
Do you know, it's when I asked you how you felt about that, and then you went on to explain, I could hear in the tone of your voice how serious you are about this word.
Yes, extremely serious.
Yeah, I can tell. So let's start then with a very simple question. So what does commitment mean? And as a follow-up, a more creative question is, what does it look, sound, and feel like?
Can I answer the second question first?
Sure.
It looks like uh, something strong, uh, something very pure, and something that's life defining,
Okay.
and
And
unapologetic.
okay. And what about metaphorically, what sounds come to mind or what images come to mind when you think of commitment?
Service, honesty, uh, courage. Just
I'd say,
something that you can't do without.
yeah. And it's as you were sharing those associated words, I found myself thinking of the phrase, I will. So
Yes,
it's like there is no doubt, I will.
yes, I will.
Then, when I asked you about what images come to mind, the image that came to my mind was a wedding ring.
Hmm.
And then I'd said I will, which you say in a wedding ceremony.
Yes.
And so that's I don't know why that's happened for me.
Mm.
And marriage is an interesting area in itself because maybe the level of commitment to marriage more recently is less than it was, say, 50 years ago. What's
Yes.
your perspective of that?
Uh, if I don't know, Alan, I get this feeling because I do a lot of counseling.
Yeah.
I get this feeling that if you are committed to yourself first, then it becomes easier to commit yourself to something because then you can keep asking yourself that whether you are continuing to be committed. But nowadays, I think even the commitment to self is not very strong.
Okay.
So we are not very committed to ourselves in the sense that we don't really think about what we want to be committed about. We want to commit ourselves very artificially
Hmm.
to things that we think may bring us a lot of happiness and values. But And as a result of which, because we are not, if we are not committed to ourselves, we don't know that joy or the strength or the struggle one needs to feel that. And therefore that gets missing. That becomes a miss when we meet, when we have it from for other people. So in case of marriage, I have many couples today who probably are in love with each other, but they are not committed to each other, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
And
Um,
like you said, 50 years ago, like my parents, they probably weren't in love with each other, but they were committed.
yeah.
So
So
that's my take.
how would you start to explore the difference between commitment and love in that situation?
In marriage,
Mm.
commitment is, like I said, it's unapologetic.
Hmm.
It has to be that come what may, we are going to handle this together.
Hmm.
Because the commitment is like a, I wouldn't use the words, I wouldn't like to mean the word as a sacred vow, but commitment is sacred, whether it comes, whether it's in a church or in a temple or with another person. So that commitment is something that that is so much ingrained in you that nothing else will come in the way.
Yeah, there's
However,
some.
love is something I feel that comes and goes. You're not always in love. You don't always like being in that situation where you, I mean, you're not in that situation where you will feel you're in love.
Hmm.
That's okay. I think that's okay. But I would rather have the commitment than the love.
Okay. And when I asked you that question about the difference between the two, and then listening to what you were saying, there's something about love being something that is given by one person to another
Mhm.
and totally within their gift or control. Whereas it strikes me that a commitment feels like an obligation to something else. So it's not just me and my choices. I owe it to something maybe higher than me, different
I
to
mean,
me,
I wouldn't use the word obligation
right?
because that feels a little forced.
Yeah.
One doesn't have to be committed to anything all their lives. It's okay.
Hmm.
But when one is committed, then there is no obligation. It just, you just feel that that's the way you want to be with that person or with that job or with that ecosystem. So it is not going to turn back and give you happiness all the time.
Sure. So
But
let me just
yeah.
ask you then about this relationship with obligation, because I agree with you. It doesn't sound like a very friendly word, obligation. But I'm thinking that if, talking personally now, if I make a commitment to somebody, it's for me to make sure that happens. And I think I do feel a sense of obligation actually, because even if circumstances change, I've made the commitment and it's up to me to sort it out. Because,
Oh, you mean it in that way. Okay.
yeah, is that different?
I would call it, then it's my duty.
Right, okay. Yeah,
It's my duty because with commitment comes the fact that somebody is going to be depending on what I've said or what I said I'll do.
yeah,
And I can't let myself down and I can't let that person down, even if that person won't mind. So it's more like I won't be able to let myself down. It's a very selfish kind of a
it
feeling.
is. Yeah,
I know that, but it drives you because then you can't do it any other way.
yeah. And I can't remember when this came up, but this topic has come up on a Values Jam before, because I remember explaining to somebody that, for instance, timeliness is really important to me. Um, and I remember giving an example of if with your family you were invited to be somewhere at a certain time and you are very committed to being on time. I was sharing how sometimes I don't take into account other people's feelings very much in order to be on time. So it might be that, you know, your child isn't wearing the clothes that they wanted to wear because you've decided to tell them that there's no time to get changed because we need to be arriving on time. So like you say, it is or can be selfish at times. But also now you're making me think about how sometimes with a commitment, I sometimes don't feel in control anymore. I feel, you know, it's my duty to make this happen. It's not about my choice anymore. It's
Okay.
because the commitment has been made, which is
Uh,
crazy, really.
yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, it might happen, but I've never noticed it in that way.
Right.
Like it's surprising you pick this up about, being on time somewhere. I'm perpetually 5 minutes before time somewhere, and it's not very welcome even by the host because they probably gave me the time thinking that I'll be fashionably late. But I ring the doorbell or I land up in the conference 5 minutes before, and I start fretting if my colleagues don't come in even after 5 minutes later.
Right.
And then this used to happen to me quite often, especially when I was an adolescent, when I was waiting for my boyfriend or some other girlfriend to come on time and they didn't. And they used to tell me, why is this such a big deal? Why are you getting so het up about it?
Yeah.
So I realized that and it has gone down. I can control myself better about getting mad at others, but I still need to be on time.
Well, I'm gonna tell you a story now to make you anxious. I started a new job in London, and I lived a train ride away, so the journey was probably about 45 minutes from my home to the place of work. And so I set off to be at work 1 hour earlier than I needed to be because, to allow for things that might happen. Um, and then on the train in a tunnel, it stopped. And
My God.
I had no means to communicate with anybody. And I was late on my first day in my new job.
My God. What did you go through?
I just was feeling terrible. And
Yeah.
then when I arrived, I had to go through the embarrassment of the apology with my boss, thinking about the first impression that I'd created, all all of this.
I
Um,
bet you were never late after that.
I'm very seldom late anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And unlike India, you couldn't get out of the train. In
That's right.
case of India, one could have just got out of the train and walked it or taken some other vehicle.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, it does cause a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
It
Well,
does, it does.
so let's try and correct that then with another question. So, can you give me a practical example of when you have experienced commitment, either from yourself or from somebody else? It doesn't matter, but a really practical story of commitment.
Mm. Oh, plenty actually. But since I'm now looking at my cat who is sleeping, my commitment to uh, animal issues,
Okay.
it's a very, very strong issue for me. And even during COVID times, when we were all, sort of um, put in our little holes at home, um, I felt I feel kept feeling a deep sense of commitment towards their, making them feel comfortable because they were not comfortable seeing so many people at home.
Hmm.
So that is one. And my commitment to my mother. That's my right now, and not just my mother, to all the older people of my family, my father, my grandparents. So it's something that I've never, regretted. I love the feeling that, I have been, sort of sent to do this. And I take that as a blessing.
Hmm.
And and I see that it is a common thing with everything I do. I just can't stick to something which I'm not committed to. I either lose interest or I find something that puts me off. And then I realize that it's not the fault of that other person or the other event. It's my lack of commitment towards that situation. And
Right.
and then I start feeling comfortable that I'm there because I have to be there, but not because I'm committed or anything.
Okay. And what about so you mentioned the animals. I've, since I was a little boy, I've had a soft spot slash interest in animals. I think they're just wonderful and important because they can't speak for themselves.
Yes,
So
all
what
animals.
what does your work in that space, or what activities are you involved in that space?
I'm a volunteer.
Okay.
I have 8 cats at home.
Okay.
I'm part of a group that feeds about 10 dogs outside. None of my cats are bought or pedigree. They're all street cats
Yeah.
who were rescued. Um, I I belong to activist groups, but right now, because of the situation at home, I'm less able to
Yeah, of
do
course.
things for them. But yeah, this is something I just, violence towards animal is something I just can't tolerate. And then people see a very different me, which sometimes even I don't like to see, but then I just become extremely vocal and extremely aggressive. And yes, I do. And I'm not apologetic about it at all.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
So, two things very different that you've brought into my mind. And having done hundreds of values jams, I've learned that when something pops up in your mind in a conversation, it's best to share it, even though it might not seem too relevant. So, you've reminded me of the first pet I remember we had was a black cat.
Mhm.
And it used to sit at the bottom of the steps from our house, um, where the road was. And dogs, when they're passing by, would approach it, and then it would just very quickly go like that on the dog's
With
nose.
with the left hand, they always do that with the left hand.
Yes.
Yeah, and they go wah, wah, wah. Yes.
um, and then to answer the question about commitment, I recognize that when I'm interested in something, I give my time to it without needing monetary payment. So, as you're aware, we spoke at the beginning before we started to record about the kindness summit that I've just come back from. Um, with my colleagues, that was hours and hours and hours of design work and planning work and preparation work.
Mhm.
We were not paid for that, but we were committed to making it a wonderful event, and the feedback was fantastic. And actually, I worked with some people in India actually that were responsible for me visiting Kolkata last year. So it's called the Waller Books Project. And what they do is they fold a piece of paper in a particular way and then tear it in order to create a mini book for children. And it's
Oh,
got 6 pages. And the way that it works is that the children write 6 words, one on each page, as the beginning of their story. And the way that we used this was for a conservation education project in Kenya called I Am Tree. And it was, again, a wonderful project. No pay, but the reward was in having completed it and the
Immense,
reaction.
immense. Yes, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
feel what you would have felt about it. No
Mm,
amount of money can make you that happy.
that's right. And so that's making me wonder about the value of commitment. Because if you're committed to something, like you've just said, if somebody said to you, "Oh, you don't need to do that anymore. I'll pay you not to do it,"
Oh
you
my
wouldn't
God. I would whack him on his nose.
with your left
Actually, I
hand.
will with my left hand. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nobody has ever dared to say something like that to me because my reputation goes ahead of me, so they
Yeah.
know who they're dealing with. But yeah, absolutely,
And what about, so
absolutely.
let's look at the opposite side of the coin then. When have you witnessed a lack of commitment?
My work in my organization with my boss, and right from we had her for 15 years, and in the beginning I thought all was fine, and then she turned out to be somebody who was only committed to herself. And
Okay.
I'm yet to find a person who is so committed to only finding what is good for them. I mean, it's almost like a disease. It's like it's a habit you can't get over from the good side as well as at the bad side. The flip side is that, you're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And that has caused my colleagues, myself, extreme pain. And for an institute of excellence, when that very thing got compromised because of lack of commitment, I mean, it was like a pack of cards falling around me.
Yeah.
And for some of us who are sort of old fossils in that organization, been there for 30 years, it was very painful. I've just retired about 8 months ago, but I still can't get over the fact that the last 2 years of my career was so traumatic. Not because she did anything to me personally,
Yeah.
but she couldn't do anything beyond herself to take the institute forward. That bothered me a lot.
Mm. It's the reason I left the corporate world. And before I share more, I just want to say that this isn't to say that everybody in the corporate world isn't a good person, because there are some good people in the corporate world. But I remember a decision being made and me thinking, I don't understand why that decision's been made. It's not in the best interest of the organization and the stakeholders. And it was basically to deliver a personal bonus to a senior person. That's the reason behind
Mm,
decisions. And I remember thinking at the time, this must be a one off. And then as my corporate career developed, I discovered more people
no, exactly,
doing the
exactly.
same thing. And there's
And
something,
doing it openly without any apology,
yeah,
without any explanation.
yeah. And I guess it's because everybody has a price ultimately. And in some organizations or in some systems, we've created levers that actually go against what the system was designed to achieve.
It's
So,
mostly the outliers.
yeah. So if, for instance, a chief executive or a leader of an organization stands to, let's say, lose significant bonuses because they would make a decision in the best interest of the long-term success.
Yes.
I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that sometimes people don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But then at least one can choose not to be in such a situation, which you did. You chose not to be there.
Yeah,
So that's good. That's good. I mean, not everything is for everybody.
yeah. And it also shows the power of systems. So when I've been in leadership roles, actually commitment is, I haven't really thought about this before, but I think it's probably my number one priority is to gain the commitment of the team members um, in honor of the vision that you've articulated and where we're going to go. And if I always felt that if you could gain the commitment of everybody in the team, then you would be able to deliver anything,
The
actually.
work is done. Half the work is done. If
Yeah,
you can motivate and make your team committed to whatever, however little you're about to do, you know you can leave it to them then.
yeah. And are you familiar there's a quote by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the author of the book The Little Prince.
Yes.
And I won't be able to remember it word for word, but it's about if you want to build a boat, don't give orders to collect the wood and all of that sort of stuff.
Do it
Um,
yourself.
Pardon?
Do it yourself.
No, what it says is
Then,
inspire them to yearn for the open seas,
oh, so beautiful.
isn't it?
So
So,
beautiful.
so if you can get people committed to the vision, they will find the way to get there. You don't need to
Oh,
tell
so
them.
beautiful. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll look that up and I'll send it to you so that you have that.
I've
Um,
read The Little Prince, but long time back.
right, okay. Now,
Yeah.
in Values Jam, there's an opportunity for you to ask a question about commitment. So let's do that now. And you can either answer it yourself immediately, or if you prefer, I can have a go answering it and then you can respond. So ask your own question about commitment, beginning with who, what, where, when, why, or how.
Okay. Uh, I have always wondered about this, Alan. Is it possible? Is it possible to be committed to anything um, when the with monetary rewards? I mean, I have a feeling that I've always wondered about this. That commitment usually is um, more potent
Mhm.
if it has to go through struggle. And if things are not given to you when and how you needed it. So, am I right in thinking that, or am I just being very um, I'm masochistic, or what?
So let me try and reframe. What is the relationship between commitment and strife? Is it something like that?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because again, you've reminded me of a time when I was on my industrial release year from university and worked in a hotel. And the Christmas period, December, was very busy. And we worked from 8 a.m. in the morning until midnight every day for about 3 weeks, no day off. And I remember also that we used to kind of celebrate how committed we were and how we'd
Yes,
managed to achieve this, even though it was such a struggle. So I get exactly where you're coming from.
yeah,
And it's almost like a badge of honor that no matter what happens, you will carry on, which might be
yeah.
foolish.
It is. Many a times it is. And then you have to hit yourself for it sometimes. But then you also feel, okay, I did it because I wanted to. And I
Yeah.
felt it. You're telling me this about strife. You phrased it correctly. Uh, in our culture in India, when we are into any kind of training in music or dance, the guru, you know what the guru means, the teacher.
Yeah.
The teacher goes for years teaching you just one small thing. And we all, for example, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If you're a singer, you're going to be focusing on how to sing do for months and years together.
Yeah.
And your teacher will not ask you to go to re. And the reason behind that is the teacher makes it so boring and tiring for you that he or she is testing your commitment to the real learning that will come later. So the teacher needs to trust your commitment, and this is one way of doing it. That out of 20 people who join his ashram or come under his tutelage, there are 19 who drop out, and that one person sticks. And that one person is somebody the guru gives everything to,
Wow.
like a prodigy. The teacher
Yeah.
gives everything to.
Yeah. Do you know there's something that I'm attracted to about Eastern culture, and I didn't realize this about India, but it reminds me of martial arts, for instance, or even a sushi chef, where they spend years
Training.
learning a
Yes,
particular slice. And
absolutely.
yet in the West, we kind of are always in a hurry. And I've learned how to do that. You haven't really learned how to do it, you know?
No,
Uh,
but Alan, in Western classical music, I think this it's a lot of training before you even get a.
True.
They do a lot of work. I mean, pianists or violinists or even
Yeah,
cello players, they go unrecognized for years, and probably in their mid 40s they get the chance to play for a
that's so true.
philharmonic. Yeah, so I think it's the nature of it's the nature of the field that you are in that brings out that exacting nature of it.
Hmm.
And unless you're committed to it, it's best you don't get into it.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
the other thing I wanted to ask you about, because you started talking about in India, and I'd like you to explain a bit more about, I think, a word that is relevant to this, because I've heard a number of people from India use the word grit.
Grit.
Grit, Grit.
Yeah, and
Is
why are Indians using it so much?
I'm not sure, and that's what I was wanted to ask you.
Okay,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, so grit in the context of keeping going, and this is the connection with commitment. So it seems to me that a number of different people from India have used this word grit in the context of people who are not easily put off, that if you're committed, you keep going. You're not so bothered what happens, and that is grit, and it's seen to be a very positive thing. So is
Hmm.
that not something that you relate to?
I relate to it. I relate,
Okay.
but I'm surprised why it's come up so often. Grit is just in the Indian context or in any developing country context. Grit is
Right.
that obstinacy to just, handle any kind of struggle and to see yourself do something that you want to do.
Yeah.
And it makes it in the Indian context, it makes it even more relevant now that we are talking about it, is because it's just struggle all the way. And
Right.
I'm not talking about rich people here. Money can only buy you an education or a job, but the sheer competition, the number in India makes competition so heavy,
Yes. Yeah.
very fierce. So It is grit that sees most people through, and it is grit that, sort of lack of it dissipates a lot of people into not doing anything.
Mm. And it was interesting you used the word obstinacy just now. Why that word and not something like perseverance, for instance?
I think perseverance is a positive word
Yeah.
because it talks about a positive value.
Hmm.
But in the context of what I was saying, of course, there's perseverance, but behind that, there is this feeling of anger and obstinacy that you
Okay.
want to stop me, you are not going to be able to stop me.
Yeah.
So
And again,
unless that anger comes in, you're not going to be able to sustain that perseverance.
yeah.
You're not going to be able to persevere.
And the reason I'm curious about that is, again, I'm just reflecting on the way I deal with things, and I am highly committed to something once I make that commitment. And perseverance is almost too passive because yes, you keep going, but
Yeah.
you described it beautifully when it's like, I don't care, this is going to happen, and that's obstinacy, right?
Yes. Yes. And it's not anger directed to anybody.
No, that's right.
Nobody. It's just, I'm not going to listen to anything that
Yeah,
comes my way.
yeah. And it's I remember I started to collect autographed photographs of very famous sports people.
Oh,
And
okay.
I remember I got one and then I got two. And I remember my kids saying to me, Dad, why are you so obsessed with this collection? And
Yeah.
then I stopped and I don't do it anymore. But there's something about maybe a short term or even sometimes a long term commitment to something and it becoming everything.
Yeah. I understand that.
Mm,
I understand that because I've seen people, even in the positive things like commitment, I mean, they just burn themselves out completely
yeah.
and they lose that perspective, and they think that the entire world is discouraging them and they don't like that.
Hmm.
So they become more and more inward. Yeah, I know that. I mean, there's a thin line between commitment and obsessiveness.
Yeah, the word was in
And
my head too.
yeah, uh, but I don't know. I see committed people as really positive people, even if they're a
Yeah.
little crazy once in a while.
And maybe this is a good moment to wrap up this values jam because I think what you just highlighted is that commitment is generally a very positive thing.
Yes.
But as with all strengths, if it's overplayed, it can become not such a good thing and it can even become dangerous. So
Yes.
that I think is a fantastic thought to leave people with. But I have one final question for you, which is, what are you encouraged to do differently about commitment as a result of this conversation?
I have become more mindful of the negative aspects of what it can do to somebody. Um, but at the same time, it has also told me that if I do not feed my commitment, it may go away and I may feel quite stupid later on, that why is it that I couldn't see this through? It meant a lot to me.
Hmm.
And how did I let it go? So it's this fine balance between letting go and um, owning something. And this conversation definitely would help me to, ensure that there's some balance.
Okay.
and to not suffocate myself with the commitment,
Yeah.
but to let it out and let it air a bit, get some air, and share it in a more open way rather than fixing too many rules around it. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely what I'd like to take back from the.
For me, it's about recognizing how valuable it is, because not everybody has strong commitment. And when you do have a strong level of commitment, you're able to achieve things that other people cannot. But to go alongside that, and so I suppose this is echoing what you were talking about balance. So for me, it's about making sure that your personal commitment doesn't blind you to the impact on other people.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's my takeaway.
that's, yes, my takeaway too. Thank you.
Okay. So that's the end of our values jam. It's been a wonderful
It's
conversation.
been wonderful. Thank you so much.
So thank you for your commitment to turn up today.
Yeah, I was there 15 minutes before. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Paramita, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Alan. Bye. Bye. Take care.